What is up, guys? Welcome to the Norushen Fire Mage guide. In this guide we're going to be going over all things you need to know as a Fire Mage to really maximize your damage output on this fight. Keep in mind that on this footage that you're actually watching, I did rank 23rd on heroic ranking as a Fire Mage, but the key to ranking on this fight is making sure that you're taking your own logs. That is the key to ranking on this fight. The other key to ranking is making sure that you're in that first group that goes down. Those two things are essential for you to rank well in this fight. Okay, but let's get right into it. What are we doing in this fight? What talents are we taking? Okay, so talent-wise, temporal shield is really a must. Okay, obviously, that's our first question: is do we want temporal shield or do we want ice barrier? Temporal shield is really better in this fight. Why? Because there's a lot of pulsing damage that your temporal shield will not only negate but then heal back over time. It's just a lot better, I think, in this fight. You get a lot more damage output and you get a lot more healing output in this fight by taking Nether Tempest or temporal shield. Then we go down through our normal talents. Again, none of them really matter until we get to those cauterize or greater invis. Now you can go either way on this. I tend to go cauterize, and the reason I tend to go cauterize is because in this fight there can be a lot of unexpected damage. If an orb doesn't get soaked quick enough, if something explodes on the raid, if something doesn't get aggro, there's a lot of ways that you can proc cauterize without killing you instantly. That dot won't kill you instantly, so as soon as you see cauterize, a lot of times you can ice block, wait for that debuff to fall off, get your healers to top you off, and then get out of the ice block. I found that tends to be a bit safer in this fight than greater invis. Now, when greater invis does become really, really nice is when you're stacked up, obviously, in this fight, when the death beam comes out, if you need to do a sprint around the boss to get back, popping that GI during that time and being able to pretty much completely negate that entire damage phase is extremely helpful. So there's that option as well. It's just really personal preference. Again, I prefer cauterize because there's not anything that's really going to blow you up, destroy you, that you can plan on. So it's one of those things where if you do proc cauterize, if you don't have it, if you have GI, you're not going to be able to pop it in time. You're going to be dead already. So that's why I tend to go that way. And then the big thing on this fight is Nether Tempest. Nether Tempest is a must, and I'll go into that in just a minute. The glyphs that we want to be using, obviously combustion as always. And then for this fight, I actually love double blink for this fight, mainly for down below, okay? The reason that I like this so much is when you're in the shadow realm and you're having to kill the big guy and the three little guys, especially with the way that shield works, you can blink behind them very quickly and start getting damage into them, and the faster you can get through that phase, the quicker you can get up and put more damage back on the boss, right? So I love double blink for this. Also, when the big guy who's in the shadow realm, when he does his little cone in front of him, you can blink right through it, and it's irrelevant mechanic. You can just blink away from it, and by the time he gets over the other side, typically you can kill him. It's that easy. So that's why I prefer double blink. Armors, again, very, very good for this fight, but that's really your only other option. Some people will use counter spell just so they don't have to waste the GCD, but again, really up to you on as far as that goes. Inferno Blast I've seen used, but it's not really beneficial, as there's really nothing that's stacked up in this fight besides one other ad, and you know what I mean, and your dots will spread without the Glyph of Inferno Blast for that, for at least one other ad, so you're fine there. You really don't need that one. So keep that in mind, that's really your benefit there. So let's get into the fight, how this works. Okay, so first thing we want to know is how are we going to pull this fight? Well, we pull this fight really simply. We pull this fight by using our combustion unless we're in that first group. If we're not in that first group that's going down, then we're popping our combustion off the bat, letting all those big dots hit on the boss. Even though he's taking less damage, it doesn't matter, because we don't want that combustion just sitting there idly waiting, especially if we're in group 2, group 3, group 4, when by the time we get out of the shadow realm and back up top, we could be getting our trinkets ready. As soon as everything procs, we're pounding another combustion in that boss. We don't want to lose all that damage, okay? That is going to be key. Nether Tempest, like I said, the reason Nether Tempest is so strong on this fight is because every single ad needs to get dotted, right? Now, obviously, the manifestations need to be switched to and burned. That's obvious. But those little ads that come up, if you can be the first one to get that Nether Tempest off, and every single time they come up, Nether Tempest, Nether Tempest, Nether Tempest, I mean every single one, if you can get there quick enough, you're going to get an absolute metric ton of damage, especially if you have lazy casters in your raid group who you know are going to finish their casts, you know, take their time, make sure everything's going rolling on the boss, then switch and kill the little ads. You know, Nether Tempest everything, because that damage hits like a truck and it hits quick. Especially if two of them spawn near each other, you're gonna even get that benefit from it. So be aware of when you need to press Inferno Blast while you're out there as well, just to spread that dot around. That's going to be the key to your damage, though, is that big Nether Tempest. Obviously, again, once you're out of the Shadow Realm, you're really tunneling into the boss and then cleaving to other ads. Now, you do still need to ad switch, but that's another story. You do need to do that. That is the most essential part of this fight. If you're not in that first group, make sure that you understand that when big ads come up, that you're switching to them immediately and getting as much damage into them as you can. The reason being is because they're not taking reduced damage from you, so you actually will do more DPS by switching to them and burning them than you will be to just sit on the boss and do that reduced damage. So you need to be killing ads. It's actually beneficial to your damage to do so. But other than that, again, take a look at how I did this fight. If you have any other questions or any other tips or tricks for glyphs, talents, etc., let me know. Or if you have any questions in general about anything I didn't cover, let me know, and I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching, and as always, see you in the next one.